Hello and welcome to episode 26 of Off the Bandstand. My name is Christian Wiggs. I am your host. Today's episode is Jim Caruso, who is an absolute delight. I can tell you from firsthand experience that Jim is the master of captivating an audience and having complete strangers feel totally comfortable and at home within minutes of the show starting. Not even minutes, like as soon as the show starts, he just puts you all at ease and you can't help but just be attracted to every bit of work that he does. From the institutionalized Jim Caruso's Cast Party at Birdland, the jazz corner of the world, to traveling with Liza Minnelli and ultimately taking that show to the Broadway stage, Jim continues to have an incredibly accomplished career and is cherished by both the Broadway world and the jazz scene. This has proved to be one of my favorite episodes to date, so let's waste no time. Let's dive right in. In this episode, we talk about playing a small role in the robust arts ecosystem that is Manhattan, working with and matching the electricity of Liza Minnelli, and the things that drunk bar guests can mistake for a handrail, even at the famed Carlisle Hotel in New York City. So stick around to the end for that story. I don't know how I would have reacted in that situation, but I'm glad it was him and not me. So going on to the releases of the week, of course we talk in this episode about the 2019 record Christmas at Birdland that Jim put out with Billy Stritch and Clea Blackhurst. They are a power trio. They are so much fun. They're, simply put, they're a blast. They'll make you laugh, they'll make you smile, they'll make you be glad that you spent the time to listen. And the three of them, but especially Jim, they just really make you feel at home. And it's an invaluable gift, especially in a year like this. We all want to feel like we can let our shoulders down and just feel like everything's going to be okay. And for a small while, you can listen to that album and feel that way. It just brings back that Christmas joy and just joy in general. He is a well of positivity. So go and check that out. You can go over to his website, which is down below. You can also follow each one of them, Jim Caruso, Billy Stritch, and Clea Blackhurst on Instagram. We've put their handles down below as well. And you can order the CD. I believe it is on Amazon. We'll also put that in the comments. And it's also on his website, but I believe when you click order the CD, it takes you to like an Apple Music page where you can buy the album digitally. But if you can support physical copies as well, I know that Jim has those and would love to get those out to you. So you can shoot him a DM on Instagram. He is just so friendly and a delight, and he's so totally genuine. We talk about that as well in the show. The Jim that you get here, the Jim that you get on stage, it's the same Jim that everyone gets in their personal lives as well. So moving on to the next release of the week. This is from Benny Benack III and Stephen Feifke and his big band. They are putting stuff out all the time, and this is a blast. I'm not sure if I should call it two singles or a small EP, but it's What Are You Doing New Year's Eve and then A Midnight Wish. Go check those out, support those. You can see in the video clip that we're about to play, they are two total goofballs and it's so much fun, but the music is seriously amazing. The charts are ridiculous as always. They were arranged by Stephen and Benny. So let's cut to a quick clip where you can get a little bit of that Christmas and holiday cheer from two amazing jazz musicians just being goofballs. Check it out. So much fun, amazing musicians. Go and support this release. You can go over and stream it on Spotify, but if you want to support musicians more directly and you want to go to Apple Music, iTunes Store, Google Play, whatever your preferred digital music platform is, you can go and purchase that, and every little bit helps the musicians who work really hard to put out this music for you. So also, if you want to find out the other things that they have going on, you can go over to their websites below, which is StephenFeifkemusic.com, and then over to Benny's website, website as well, which is BennyBenakJazz.com. So yeah, go and support those releases. They're amazing, amazing people, amazing music. What more could you ask for? So now let's move over to the Monks shows. Again, if you're unfamiliar, Monks Jazz Club was a pop-up jazz club here in Austin, but during the time of COVID became a brick and mortar. Colin Shook has curated multiple shows a week, 3 to 4 shows a week, and they've all been just amazing. He has the most curated, beautiful, most high quality acts that come through and play every week for live streams. And the next one that is coming up is going to be the Ryan Hagler Quartet. That's going to be on January 5th. That's a Tuesday. And this is going to be one of the Austin Jazz Society Project Safety Net concerts. If you're unfamiliar, Austin Jazz Society has been heading this initiative called Project Safety Net, which is taking care of and giving grants to at-risk jazz musicians who really just need kind of some of the extra help to propel ourselves forward and get out onto the other side of this pandemic to where we can be going back to our full occupation of playing full-time as some of these prolific jazz musicians that are nestled right here in Austin. So if you would like to go and support that, it is one of the most noble things that you could do, taking care of the music and making sure that it lives on. So that's going to be on January 5th. All of the donations go towards Project Safety Net for that concert. And then the next one is going to be Thursday, January 7th. That's going to be the David Mescatique Trio, and he's going to be playing music and arrangements from a new album that he is about to go into the studio and record. He's going to have an incredible band. It's going to be James Suter on bass and Fabio Augustinus on drums. And then I'm actually going to be on a few tunes, and I believe Mike Saylors is going to make a guest appearance. There's going to be a lot of really killing musicians that are going to be on this show and on this record. So tune into that. These are at 7:30, and that one's on Thursday, January 7th. And then, not officially announced yet, but myself and Thomas Wanglinski are going to co-bill a Monk show on Sunday, January 10th. It's going to be all Thomas's arrangements and originals. Not all of them will be originals, but some of Thomas's originals and all of his arrangements. There is going to be a really great kind of mix of tunes. The reason why I really love collaborating with Thomas is that he always gets me a little out of my comfort zone, not to the point where I'm uncomfortable, but just things that maybe weren't the obvious choices for me in terms of tunes. Things where we're playing some Shaka Khan stuff and some stuff from Georgie fame. Anyways, it's going to be a great show. So tune into that. Check that out. That's going to be Sunday, January 10th. And then, of course, there are a wealth more of Monk shows happening every single week. So go over to Monk's Facebook page and website and go and support those shows as well. It's a great way to stay connected to the music. So anyways, that's all the announcements for today. Let's dive into today's episode, episode 26, Jim Caruso. This is Off the Bandstand. Jim, thank you so much again for being here. How are you?
I'm great. I mean, I have to say, it's a horrible time in the world. And, if I really thought about it, I could really get sad and down. I'm really not that kind of person to wallow in my own self-pity.
Yeah.
But there's so much bad news, but I also feel very optimistic that 2021 has got to be better. It's got to be better, doesn't it?
Yeah, right.
I feel optimistic. I think good things are on the way. I'm trying to have a really happy holiday, which is weird in New York without friends and family.
Right.
Like we're all used to. But I've been doing a lot of shows right here,
Mhm.
right here, as
Right.
you can tell.
Right.
This is my Christmas corner, um, which has been really fun.
Mhm.
And I host this thing, as you know, called Pajama Cast Party. So I'm seeing tons of talented friends every week. And so I really do feel like I've seen a lot of people.
Mhm.
And then at the end of the day, I go to bed and I think, I didn't see anybody today. I mean, I looked at them, but I
Right.
haven't been with anybody. Um, so it's a happy time, but it's a sad time too in a lot of ways. But I'm making it through.
Yeah.
And I guess that's at this point all we can hope for. We're
Yeah.
making it through. We're lucky. I'm healthy, knock on wood.
Yeah.
My friends are healthy. What else is there?
Right. Yeah. I was thinking about this last night because I was going and rewatching all of the chats, which by the way, they just make me feel so you have and I'm just gonna shower you with compliments throughout the
Oh,
episode.
well, we can go long. Let's go
Sure,
longer.
let's get started. Yeah. But yeah, I always feel that there's something about you and just the energy of you, especially just seeing you in such a limited capacity in January, just like one night where you have this way of making everybody feel very comfortable immediately. Like
Wow.
you're a very comforting, very safe, like it feels like a safe place whenever we're in the room with you. And then to have those little chats, like I love you're like, oh hi, tell me how are you? Like very interactive, just like in the
Oh,
chat.
you mean the Instagram chats that I
Yes,
do?
yes,
Yeah.
those Instagram
Yes, yes,
chats.
yes.
You're like,
Oh,
oh,
I'm glad you like those.
they're so fun. And I think the reason why is that you're very energetic, you're very animated, but none of it feels fake. Like every single time it feels like we're getting like the real Jim. And I think that's why it's
That's the
so,
nicest thing anybody's ever said. Thank you. What a great thing to hear.
of course.
Because it's all fake.
Oh, right. Yeah.
This right now,
This,
totally fake.
it's a facade. You're a real Grinch and a real mean guy off camera.
Yeah, yeah,
No.
you can tell. You can tell I hate Christmas.
Right. Well, I was going to say too, is like in a year that is so disconcerting, you're saying like, that's not me. That's not the kind of person I am. But this year has kind of taken its toll on even the most positive, most like cheery, look for the silver lining kind of person. So like, what's the secret for you? Like, how are you keeping that energy up?
Well, I mean, I have to say the first couple weeks of this, this pandemic, this, especially in New York City, we were in our apartments,
Right.
not leaving for many, many, many weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember taking my garbage out to the garbage place down the hall
Sure.
where you put your in a mask and gloves and hoping nobody came out their door. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
It was terrifying. So during that was my darkest time, and I did very little. I stayed in my bed, really, and I watched all 156 episodes of West Wing.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah, in order, which was amazing, and that's such a great show.
Yeah.
But that got me through that time period. But I was really sad. Plus, you'd open the window and you'd just hear sirens screaming at all times, and it was a nonstop reminder, like somebody doing this.
Right.
This is happening. You just get into West Wing and it would be like, nope, you have to think about this.
Right.
So that was really hard.
And what a great escape for you though with the West Wing, where you were like, everything's crazy with health stuff. Let me just dive into politics. Surely that's more relaxing.
And who would have known that the West Wing was like Disney compared to,
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We don't want to go there.
Oh, we don't have to, but I'll say the most, I guess, on the nose that I'll be is that in in more ways than one, you are the bearer of good news. But when you texted me and you were like, oh my gosh, Christian, like, yes, I would love to do the show. I was going out for a walk, enjoying the fresh air with Lydia, who I've been with for 5 years. We lived together, and we were enjoying the day because it was Saturday, November 10th, or what was it, Saturday, November 8th. And I'll just say that there was a good piece of news that came out that day. So
there you go.
It was a full circle.
There you go.
Yeah.
Not everybody has to agree with us, but we're on the same plane.
You, Jim. Yeah, for sure. But okay, so watching West Wing and just kind of being a little bit more of, I guess, forced hermit, right? As much as just we are forced to be.
Cutting my own hair. I mean, it was like going on YouTube to figure out how to trim your hair. This is not what I normally do.
Right.
It was weird. It almost feels like a dream now. I can't believe, first of all, I can't believe I cut my own hair. But things like that, you need to go to the dentist. You don't. You need to do all these things, and there's no question that you are not doing any of it. Mm-hmm. It was very, very strange and otherworldly until one night I got on Instagram Live, and I was talking like I do to people, and a friend of mine came on and said, "Bring me on." And I said, "What? I didn't really know you could bring people into the conversation onto your screen." Okay. I'm 90. So I brought her on, and she started singing at me. She's a professional singer, Broadway girl. And it was so delightful. And all of a sudden I saw her numbers, starting to go up. And then another friend came on and said, "I'm in my backyard." He's a juggler. He said, "I'm in my backyard. Pull me up. I want to show you something." And he had been working on this new trick. He was juggling fire. That's right. Was this early March? I guess it was early March. He's juggling fire like the third week in March. Yeah. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? And now we have 300 viewers watching this insanity. Me in a little screen this big with him above the juggling. And then another friend came on and sang. So I went to bed that night so uplifted, because it was like I'd forgotten who I was a little bit. That's what I do for a living. I bring entertainment, and I enjoy entertainment, and I love entertainers. So all of a sudden I found myself again. Yeah. And the next day, my friend Ruby Lochner, this 21-year-old actress / producer, said, "We should do Cast Party on YouTube." And I said, "Oh God, it sounds hard." And she said, "I totally know how to do it." Yeah. We did it the next week, and I've been doing it. This will be the 48th week. Wow. This coming Monday. Ooh. What the hell? How did that happen?
I know. And that, like, I think that's the best way to do it, because everyone, and this is going to sound so, I guess, meta or ironic, where I'm saying, everybody's starting something during quarantine. And the reason why that's meta or ironic is because I started this during quarantine. But
that's right.
It had been something I'd been thinking about for a long time, but it's just schedules, especially when you're full-time performing. It almost felt like it was like, okay.
Who has time? You don't have time.
Right. And especially to release them weekly. I mean, there's other people in Austin that tried doing this, and successfully, I might add. It was good. They did like 4 episodes, but they were working all the time. So it was like one episode would come out every like 6 weeks or something like that.
Yes.
And, but I think
it's hard. There's a learning curve too.
There is.
To figuring all this out. I mean, happily, I don't have to do the technical part of it all. Ruby does all that, but I have to book it. And it took me forever to figure out how to even make it look this good. Yeah. Buying ring lights, buying a better microphone. Yeah. Getting the lighting, getting the angle, it's still not what I want. You know, I don't really want to be pushed up against a wall, but my Wi-Fi is terrible in the living room.
Yeah.
So then there's that. There's figuring out all that dumb
Right.
stuff that I've never had to think about.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to pivot. But when you have nothing else to think about,
Yeah.
it's the perfect time.
Yeah. And I honestly like that. Like I've really gravitated towards, I'm going to say again, ironically, as I get older, which is hilarious because I look like I'm 12, but,
Are you 12?
with plus or minus a few years.
Okay.
Right. So no, I'm 24, but just as I'm getting older, I'm focusing less on. Well, I'm
I
focusing.
should have had a thud. There should have been a thud. That would have been great.
We can crudely edit in some cartoon sounds, right?
In post.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. Like a car screeching and then glass
Perfect.
shattering. The whole
Perfect.
But I'm finding that I'm really enjoying, and the I guess inspiration for doing this show is that I love seeing behind and I'm going to use the word facade. I don't mean a fake facade, but I love seeing the behind the scenes of the people who I admire and getting to know them as people, whether or not they're people who I already play with, and I want to share that with audiences, but also people like we've had Veronica Swift on, and she's a blast. She's a goofball. She's so fun.
So funny.
And
so funny.
Like arguably going to be like the way that we look back at the last generation as, you know, Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, Sarah Vaughan, she is going to be that name.
Completely.
Arguably already is. So like
completely
to talk to them, to talk to Dan Shimiolinski, great bass player with Martina Da Silva and all these different people, it just brings me a lot of joy. And I think that's where a lot of these shows, when they're genuine, they work. When they're not, when it feels like, oh, let me just start a thing, then it's like, oh, it's gonna feel very contrived and
forced. Yeah. But don't you feel as a performer, don't you feel talking to all these other performers makes you a better performer and makes you a better interviewee?
Yes.
And you know, when you have to do press, you're going to be so much better at it, because doing this is not easy. It's kind of like not a talent everybody has.
Yeah.
So it's this is, listen to, you hear New York outside. Can you hear that?
I was wondering, I was like, is that over here? Do I need to turn off my dryer or something?
They're coming for me, actually. I have the window open because it's kind of nice today.
Yeah.
But this is going to serve you in so many other ways. It's really a cool thing to do.
I think also, and it doesn't even have to be as a performer, but just as a human being, like listening, like really listening to people and like meeting them where they're at, you know, and not just focused on, you know, I have a handful of notes that I write down just of things that I'm interested in that I don't want to forget about. But it's not this scripted thing, because then it's, you know, question exchange. It's not meaningful dialogue.
Well, you don't want it to be like Wikipedia. In 1975, you sang, well, nobody cares. Nobody cares. I love conversations. And when I talk to other talented people, when I'm interviewing them, I love when it goes off into, what grocery store do you go to? What do you cook when you're at home? What do you like that isn't so specific to their career?
Right.
Because everybody's kind of got their shtick when they're being interviewed.
Yeah.
And God knows I do. But it's fun to get people kind of off that and to talk about their life, because everybody can relate to that. Not everybody can relate to being a jazz singer.
Yeah.
Really, nobody can relate to being a jazz. Really, seven people relate to that, or should.
Yeah.
But, you know, everybody relates to having a family, or to having, you know, to living in this crazy time.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's really fun.
Absolutely. So, Jim, in 2003, when you...
I know. What did I do then?
I am so curious, even though we talked about, just like, oh, the whatever, but I am so curious for you to be where you are at this, what we would view, us mere mortals would view to be such a cushy spot where you are able to, you've had a residency at Birdland
I know.
in 18 years?
That is crazy, isn't
That's
it?
wild.
For somebody who can swing but isn't a jazz singer. I can swing-ish,
Yeah, right.
but nobody's ever going to mistake me for Kurt Elling.
I don't know.
Although I do have good suits. I have good suits.
I don't know if you just pulled Kurt Elling's name out of the hat, or that I am wildly obsessed with Kurt Elling.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
He's
a great friend. I love him.
Listeners at this point in the chat are just like, Jim, no,
Don't bring it up. I love him.
His Christmas record is right there on the wall. So,
perfect.
Anyway.
No, he's a genius. Let's say it. He's a genius. But nobody will ever mistake us for each other. But the fact that I've had this long running, would you call it a residency? It's kind of beyond a residency. I've been there every single Monday for now 18 years. What? Then once Cast Party took off, this open mic night that I host there, then the owner said, this place is filled with theater people. I've wanted these people in here for 20 years. He just didn't know how to get them in there.
Yeah.
He's a huge jazz fan, of course. He owns Birdland, but he wanted to expand the music.
You're
always keeping jazz as the main, focus of Birdland. But I brought in all these Broadway performers, Chita Rivera, Liza Minnelli, Michael Feinstein, people who would never even dream of talking to Birdland, to book. And I started booking those people, Chita and Liza and Michael, and huge Broadway stars and up and coming composers, people that now have Oscars for writing, and Tonys and Grammys for writing musicals and movies and stuff, and comics and country singers and anybody I thought would fill the room. Sure. Because that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
If you can get 150 people to walk through the door, you win.
Yeah.
So I was winning all of a sudden, and I was bringing these cool people in on a Monday, which is everybody's crappy night.
The deadest night, yeah.
The deadest night. So I don't know how it happened, but it happened. And so I book the room. I book the Broadway people in the room, and I host Cast Party. And then we opened Birdland Theater last year.
Yeah.
Which is a small 100-seat theater downstairs. So now we have 2 rooms that are closed. 2 spaces to pay rent on.
Right.
Yay. The owner's thrilled.
I'm sure.
But the space is,
right?
Huh?
That's
Johnny Valenti.
Yeah.
Has to pay those bills. Bills don't care that there's a pandemic.
We know that all too well.
Yeah. So it's a joy. Being at Birdland has been just it's not even a job. It feels like community service to me. It's something so beyond a job to me.
Right. Well, and honestly too, it's this. I have to assume there's a humility that comes with it too, because every single night you're not getting jaded to these people that walk into the door. They are showstoppers every single night that are coming into your stage, and to be witness to that, it really just gives, not in any kind of negative way, but I have to assume it shows it's like, oh, like we're all like just a small part of such a robust ecosystem that is Manhattan.
That's very wise. That is very wise. It's really true. But I've always known that because I thought I was going to be a superstar. I thought I was going to be Donny Osmond is who I thought I was going to be. That didn't happen. Not yet, anyway. I was, singing in nightclubs and cabarets, and which is kind of making a living-ish. I had a vocal trio called Wise Guys, and we were opening act for Liza Minnelli and Joan Rivers and people. So we were doing cool things on paper, but the reality, I was not living in a penthouse. Trust me.
Sure.
So I was already very well aware of that ecosystem. Very well. I knew where I stood on the totem pole of show business, and it was low. That being said, I love wearing many different hats, being the performer or on camera like this. And right after we're done, I will go back to booking Pajama Cast Party, our Birdland concert series, and typing press releases for everything we're doing. Yeah. So it's like this business, there's no room for an ego unless you are a superstar.
Right.
Then maybe.
Yeah.
But it will slap you down within seconds of that great high, and then you're told to move out of the way because we're trying to get Miss Minnelli's picture. So buzz off.
Sure. Man, it's so true. It can be literally from gig to gig. Like, I've been doing some outdoor gigs. Luckily, I've had a really great relationship with, one of the main hotels downtown is the JW Marriott on 2nd and Congress. I mean, it's just a beautiful location with the most beautiful video of both most beautiful view of the city with both the river and the Capitol and just all the hubbub. And we've been doing some outdoor stuff. But, one night you're like, oh man, everyone's super receptive to it. And, you feel like everybody's coming up, obviously, to the velvet rope that we have that ropes off the bandstand. I've got my singing mask on, but
right.
It looked different. But then the very next night you could play, not the same notes, obviously, but the same set, and it just fall completely flat. And whereas you were on one high, it's just,
I know.
Nope.
And people don't know that, and maybe they don't need to know that. Maybe that's part of the what we keep to ourselves. Right. But I remember with this vocal trio, we played Carnegie Hall twice in 1 month and did not work for 6 months. And I mean, no cruise, no little club in the village, nothing. And it was like, how can that be? Is that even possible? Yeah, it's possible, and it's probable.
Yeah,
which is the awful part.
Yeah,
you just can't. It's what I do. I hate to sound altruistic, but I don't know how to do anything else.
Yeah,
and so you just wait, and you just keep putting out feelers for the next thing, and eventually something happens.
Yeah.
It's kind of an illness. It's like mental illness, show business. Yeah. Maybe I don't want to say that because that sounds horrible, but there is something in our brains that will not let it go.
Right. Yeah. Right. No, I think, and I don't think anybody would be offended by that statement. I think it is a very valid point that, 80% of our inquiries that we make, cold calls, it's a no, it's a dial tone.
80? That's pretty good.
Yeah, I was about to say,
I'm impressed.
Right. Yeah. Like I remember when I first got into town, I was like, okay, well, there 6 years ago, I was like, there's no way that I'll break into the scene. It's Austin, and I come from a town called Lake Jackson, 60 miles south of Houston.
Yes.
Wait, do you know where Lee Jackson is?
I do. I
What?
do. I mean, I lived in Dallas 18 years. Hello.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I traveled around Texas a bit.
Yeah. So then Lake Jackson, 28,000 people. It has a bunch of the people there working in the chemical plants. Being in show business is not the
Right.
right. So I
Right.
had this very kind of idea that everything was going to be very larger than life and almost impossible to break into. But then I learned pretty quickly that it's like, okay, cold call or email or show up to 100 different places. 10 places will give you the time of day.
Mm-hmm.
5 of them will give you an email. 3 of them will seriously inquire, and maybe 1 to 2 of them will book you.
Right.
You have to be really, really either dumb or
This is what I'm saying.
persistent
Yeah.
or really believe in the thing that you're doing to take 95 rejections so you can get that 1 gig.
Yeah. I think people with what we call real jobs,
Yeah.
that just sounds impossible.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that sounds like if you work in a bank. It
Right.
sounds like you're a crazy person.
Right.
So, and maybe there is a bit of that.
Yeah.
But the pleasure we get from doing what we do,
Yeah.
real people will never understand.
Yeah. It makes
That's
it
the
all worth
joy
it.
of it. Yeah.
Makes it
Yeah.
all worth it. And I was rewatching the Ken Burns documentary on jazz the other day. And just like, I mean, to have Wynton Marsalis start talking at the very beginning and hit you with like wisdom that should be 45 minutes in, but it opens with that, like,
Right.
like a wave. And he was talking about like there's nothing more exciting. I don't want to bastardize the elegance of how he put it, but it's like there's nothing more exciting because he's like, I could get on a plane and I could go to Milwaukee tomorrow. I could walk into a bar and there could be 3 other people there we've never met before, and we just go, let's play the blues, man, or like let's play, don't get around much anymore, let's play whatever. And I think it's the smallest version of, for at least musicians, the smallest version of like, and not to sound super cheap and hokey, but like harmony and harmony and togetherness and unity of just like, okay,
Yeah.
we all have completely different walks of life, but we're able to come together and create something that is so uniquely specific.
Because there's a vocabulary. It's like somebody without even knowing them. If somebody says, do you know any Duke Ellington? Well, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I kind of get you. I mean, I get a piece of you at least. And, or if they say, can you play Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head? And you go, oh, I know you. It's like a whole oh, I know you.
I will never forget that face of, I know you.
Yeah, I know you. And by the way, nothing against that song for the people who love B.J. Thomas.
Sure, right.
You're welcome, America.
Jim, you're so fun. So I want to know about you as a kid, though. I want to know where. No, but I'm serious because it's like
creepy
for you to have the energy and the personality and everything that you have now. Was it always that way? And
yeah, I asked my mother. This is real. This sounds like a talk show line. I asked my mother for an agent when I was 5 years old, and this is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I grew up, and she, first of all, didn't know how I knew what that word was.
Yeah. If
I understood what I was saying.
Yeah.
And she said, what does that mean to you? And I said, I want to be in show business. Whoa. I know. I just knew.
Yeah.
And I watched Carol Burnett and Red Skelton and Dick Van Dyke and the variety shows of the day. And Later, Sonny and Cher, and I mean the TV variety shows, which we don't have much of now,
Right.
unfortunately. I was just obsessed with them,
Yeah.
obsessed more than even the movie musicals. I was obsessed with variety, which is ironic, knowing what I do now.
Sure.
Bringing singers and dancers and ventriloquists and magicians.
And people doing hula. The night I was there was a woman there who was a regular who does the hula hoop, right? And like I think it lit up.
You were yes,
Yeah.
Christine Lavin. She's actually a folk singer.
Okay.
Who also has hula hoops. I know.
Amazing.
This is my life, people.
I love it. Okay, so you always knew you wanted to be in show business. So what did that look like for you? Like as time progressed, were you getting involved with? Was it
pathetic? It was terrible. No, it was horrible.
Okay.
I got involved in community theater in Pittsburgh, which was great. I did a lot of musicals. Always in the ensemble, behind people doing things. Then I moved to Dallas, and I was a theater major, which I'm not sure I would do again. Certainly not there.
Yeah.
I started working professionally in the ensemble.
Yeah.
There's a theme.
Sure. Where were you working? What were the gigs? Were they traveling gigs?
Yes, some local Dallas theaters, Dallas Theater Center, Dallas Repertory Theater, Theater 3, some really good theaters.
Yeah.
And a place called Theater 3 started to give me some roles. They took a chance. I mean, I didn't look like anybody else. I was not the stud leading man. I was not the old character actor. I was 20.
Yeah.
But a director takes a chance, and all of a sudden he said, I'm going to do this role as if Fred Astaire did it instead of like the stud. So all of a sudden I was like, oh, the guy that's kind of Fred Astaire-ish. And that changed everything for me, because all of a sudden I had a picture in my head of who I could be.
Sure.
Kind of. And I started playing clubs.
Yeah.
I started singing in nightclubs, and that really changed everything, because instead of being in the ensemble, I had my own show. Yeah. Good or bad, it was mine. I learned so much from doing that, how to connect with an audience, how to talk. Yeah. And not just say, and now here's a song by Cole Porter. Yeah. Really, if a waiter drops a tray of drinks, well, you talk about that for 15 minutes because you have 3 hours to fill. Yeah. So that was a great learning experience, better than any college. Yeah. Don't try this at home, kids, but it was better than any college I could have gone to for me. Yeah.
And I think another thing that people think growing up is that, they'll listen to shows, interview shows, and they'll hear all the crazy stories that people have. Like to give you a heads up, we always end every episode with, much later with the guest's favorite gig from hell. And people will listen to that and they'll go, oh my God, people have all this experience, well, I need to get some of that. It's like, well, you go work in a club, a cabaret club, jazz club, whatever, you will get your fill of more than you need, know.
And wedding bands. Right. And I mean, any of those kind of, I mean, what would you call it? Just yeoman, worker bee, just keep working, working. Really no stardom. Yeah. It's not about being fancy or being stars. It's just keep working, because you got to keep working. You got to do something to bring in money.
Yeah. So after that, so now you're starting to get like a little bit of an idea of like where you feel like you can fit into that. So where did New York come into play? How long did you stay in Dallas?
I always wanted to live here. Always. when I said I want an agent, I meant I want an agent in New York City.
Right.
I'm pretty sure. I don't remember exactly, but I think I was seeing movies and being like, that looks more exciting than Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Um, so I finally moved here. I had worked here a lot. I had visited here a lot. I had a lot of friends on Broadway, and I was dazzled with that world. And I waited and waited until I really had a reason to move here. And it was that vocal trio, Wise Guys. We were working a lot out of New York. Some in New York, stars that were from New York. So it just seemed right. Yeah. And it was like, bye-bye, Dallas, I'm ready. And I've lived here 30 years, longer than you have been in existence.
Yeah.
I hate you for that.
I'll buy you a drink next time I'm in town.
Because aren't I 25 years old? What happened?
Yeah.
So, and there is no place I'd rather be. Even in a global pandemic, I am in the city of my dreams.
Yeah.
City of my dreams.
You know what I was listening to this morning, and I'm so glad that you said that. I was going to find a way to bring it up in general, but I was listening to the Swing Set, and I was listening to Manhattan.
Oh.
And there, like I said earlier, just the thing of you have this way of putting everybody at ease and being so comfortable. And you've heard, like, we've all heard Manhattan recorded a million times. It's a very famous jazz standard. But there was something about your demeanor, something about your tone, something about it felt like there was an emotional connection with it. It wasn't someone singing about Manhattan where they're like, oh, I visited here a couple of times.
Right.
I've
been there.
I know the parts that they're talking about in the lyrics. No, it was like you were truly taking in, like, I love this. I love this. This is so much a part of the place that I call home, and even called home, again, not to be super corny and cheesy, but even called home before you were there, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, when I first started to come here, you know how when you come up out of the subway and you're kind of in a part of town that you don't immediately know, and you don't know which way is uptown and which is downtown, or which is east and which is west. So you walk a block and then you go, oh, good. I have to turn around and walk, you know, because everybody in the world does that. Even people that have lived here for decades.
Yeah.
I moved here and it was just in me. I just knew kind of inherently which way to go.
Yeah. Right.
Not always, but I just kind of knew the lay of the land.
Yeah.
Strangely. I am in the right city.
Yeah. I tried to do that when I was there in January, because I was like, all right, I'm going to start coming, you know, a couple times a year, you know, potentially looking at, you know, later on in life, you know, making the move. And I like to come by myself, which can be sort of a lonely thing to do because it's a very big city, but it's also very freeing. It's like, I want to go to Chinatown and I want to get some of those dumplings at that.
I mean, what's better?
You know? Yeah. And so I started down, I guess, in the Meatpacking District, and I just walked up to like 60th Street. It like just not even a brisk walk. I was like, I just want to know what this is like, because
it's the best way to see the city for sure.
Yeah, everyone wants to see the glamorous part. They want to go to the Met. They want to go, you know, to Times Square. They want to do that. But it's like, I want to see, like, not in a bad kind of way, but I was like, I want to see like the less attractive parts of town where it's like, oh, you know, it's very crowded and all this stuff.
Yeah, it's like taking out of towners to your favorite restaurant or something that they would in 1,000 years not have. They would have walked right by it on their way to TGI Fridays or wherever they recognize.
Sure.
It's like, no, nobody eats there.
Right.
Here, this is where New Yorkers eat.
Yeah, like I felt bad for having gone to a Dunkin' Donuts to get coffee in the morning, but it was just it was right there. It was so easy, you know. And one of the reasons too why I was like constantly in Birdland every night, and I was trying to check out all the different jams and the sessions going on, but my friend works for Google, and
I mean, are you hearing this insanity outside? It's
I am.
sorry.
It's very dim, but yes, I am hearing it.
It's getting louder, just so you know.
Yeah. So, but she lived at, like, she didn't live there anymore, so I can say where the intersection was. But it was like 8th Avenue and 23rd Street. It was a 5-minute walk from Birdland. It was like, why not just like go and experience that every single night, just all around? It's just a beautiful, beautiful city. Anyways, back to you now. Back to you, Jim.
Enough about you and your stories.
I know. What am I, the host?
Truly. How dare you?
So then getting to New York, how long was it before Liza's at the Palace?
Oh, well, that came, I always said, I'll get on Broadway when somebody says, hey, that weird guy we saw on stage the other night. Oh, yeah, well, I know him. Oh, he's fun. Yeah, he's a good hang. And yeah, oh, let's book him. Well, that's exactly what happened. Billy Stritch, my musical director and best friend for a million years, also from Texas, from Houston, from Sugar Land, Texas.
I know it well.
I know.
First call me.
He called me one night, and he was doing a gig, and he said, you're not going to believe this. Liza Minnelli was here. She came over and sat next to me. We sang together. She's coming to see my show tomorrow night. Everything's going to change. This is the best thing that's ever happened. And I was like, oh, yeah, she's coming to your show in the dumpy little club in the Village. Mm-hmm. Well, that's exactly what happened. So I sat right next to her. He stationed me next to her so that I could hear if anything was, said. Yeah. And we started talking. The three of us ended up being like the three Amigos, the best friends for years and years and years, and still to this day. So that turned into my trio opened for her for a while in Vegas and Atlantic City. And I was her assistant for a minute. Mm. That was a lot. That was interesting. I'd never done anything like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I lived with her for a bit in Los Angeles.
Whoa.
And at one point, she decided her godmother was a woman named Kay Thompson, who was the vocal arranger at MGM. She was a vocal coach for Judy Garland and Frank Sinatra and Mel Torme. Yeah. She brought jazz to MGM in the sound of the arrangements, and you need to look her up if you don't know.
Well, I think
she's the deal.
She's the one who wrote the vocal arrangements with Billy for Liza's at the Palace, right?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I missed.
Well, yes.
Okay.
She didn't write them with Billy. They were her arrangements. By the time Billy and I got to know her, she was well into her. She was about 90.
Okay.
She was Liza's godmother. At some point, she moved in with Liza, and we got to know her, and we would sing her on the piano, and she was as hip and funny and smart as any human being has ever been. And so after she passed away, she also wrote a book called Eloise about the little girl who lives at the Plaza Hotel.
Okay.
After she passed away, Liza decided that she would do a record that would be a tribute to Kay's nightclub act, which was called Kay Thompson and the Williams Brothers, with Andy Williams and his brothers. Woo. And she wanted me and Billy and a couple of our friends to be the Williams Brothers. Mm. Billy would do the orchestrations, and we would recreate these incredible...
I was like, he's probably going to say something.
What can I say? Crazy. So that's what we did. We were going to do a record. Then all of a sudden, Liza said, let's get up on our feet and start moving around. So the four guys and Liza started dancing. And then she brought in a choreographer. And then she brought in a director. And then all of a sudden, we were on the road with Liza Minnelli for 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
With her band, which is the best players in the world, Billy Stritch at the piano, the four of us singing and dancing behind Liza Minnelli in the most beautiful theaters all over the earth.
Wow.
She's famous everywhere.
Yeah.
Finland, Asia,
Whoa.
Mexico, Argentina. I mean, there's not a place we didn't go.
Yeah.
And the whole time she was saying, we've got to take this to Broadway. This is a Broadway show.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, good luck to you. You know, what do you say? Yay.
Yeah.
And she called me one day and she said, baby, sit down. And I said, I'm sitting. She said, we're going to Broadway. We're going to the Palace Theater.
Oh my God.
Which of course is where her mother had so many amazing concerts and revivals and, you know, moments. And Liza too had played the Palace many times. So it was December, is it 11 years ago or 12 years ago? We opened a show called Liza's at the Palace. The whole first act was Liza and her band. Second act is the recreation of Kay Thompson and the Williams Brothers, which was us. It won a Tony. It was nominated for a Grammy. It was crazy.
Jeez.
Changed our lives.
Well, I was able to find some clips of it, and I want to find the actual DVD so I can add it to the collection. But yeah, I was watching last night, and I mean, damn it, talk about someone who is explosive, like dynamite, like Liza Minnelli. Like, I have not spent as much time as I should listening to her, that I was just like, you're gonna be fascinated. We did a lot of, her booker at the time decided he would book us on in jazz festivals, which she had never done. I mean, in 1,000 years, she didn't think she was, you know, a jazz singer. Yeah. But the Kay Thompson arrangements were so jazzy and so hip. So we started doing these European jazz festivals, and the people who had been listening to, you know, drum solos for 7 hours, all of us, nothing against drum solos, all of a sudden we're like, what's this? What are these crazy vocal arrangements? These chords that are like, you know, this is nuts. And Liza Minnelli, she can swing. Who knew she could swing? So I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised at a lot of what Liza Minnelli does. Oh, well, you know, like as a full-time jazz singer, I mean, there's some tunes that we just dread having to sing because they're the ones that are requested all the time. You know, like I think when I came to Cast Party, like I think I did Yardbird Suite or something like that, or it was Yardbird Suite or a different tune, but it wasn't like an A-lister, but it wasn't enough to where it would alienate, you know, like an artist or something. And it was because I was like, I'm just so tired of singing, you know, all these A-list standards. If I don't have to, I won't. That's not to say I don't still have fun when I do them. Obviously, the people I play with make it very fun. But, you know, like whenever I saw on the Liza's at the Palace, the thing where it was like New York, New York, it's like I've had to play that big band arrangement a million times. And so I clicked on it and I was like, I've fallen in love again. I've fallen in love. Yeah. It's so
First of all, it's a great song.
Yeah.
Second of all, it was written for her. That's nice for a movie called New York, New York. Candor and Ebb, that incredible vamp. I mean, it's might seem trite to us now because we've all heard it done so many times and done badly many times, I'm sure. But when we've talked about that, you know, I've said, how do you do cabaret and New York, New York every night and kill it?
Yeah.
Not like walking through it.
Wipe the floor.
And if she can do it, we certainly can, because we haven't done it 4,000 times.
Sure.
And she says, it's the first time these people have seen me do it. Yep. I've got to give them the same feeling and energy I gave to them in 1975 7 when I sang it the first time, or whatever year it was. You know, she's very thoughtful about that, about letting down her audience. She would rather die than, you know, look out and see somebody that's like, you know,
what
bored.
a fully present and just grateful human, not even a performer. I mean, to have the awareness that you know, you could go on stage and you could give some half-ass performance because your name alone sells the ticket, right? People do that. People kind of check out after they've done like the work, right? The work never stops, but you know, but for her to, I mean, and she's not phoning in anything. I mean, like the choreography.
She doesn't phone in rehearsal. When we were rehearsing this show at the Martha Graham studio in Midtown, which smells like feet. Thanks. Because Martha Graham didn't believe in air conditioning.
Okay.
So you walk in, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Hi. We would rehearse like 8 hours nonstop. She doesn't stop.
Wow.
She doesn't stop for a glass of water. She doesn't stop to go to the room. She is pouring sweat. The working, the on the floor, the dirt of it all is what she loves more than anything. And of course, we ended up understanding and feeling the same way. You don't go into a Liza show and think you're going to be above it all.
Sure.
Because she is right down in the trenches, on the floor, in the dirt with you, sweating her head off.
And you can tell that too, because and I'm really not just saying this, like the whole time that I was watching that video of, or the several clips, what was the tune? I can't remember what it was. It had like a one word catchy title that was very like upbeat. What was it?
If.
I don't think that was it. I'll text it to you later. But,
okay.
I was like, I just couldn't take my eyes off of you specifically. You're so animated. You are meeting her energy exactly, if not going over, just to be.
There was no choice. It was eat or be eaten. And I remember we did this thing where we had to all do. I don't know how this is catching it on the screen, but we had to do like this kind of a thing into her.
Okay.
All 4 of us. And we were doing it, and, you know, we were doing it okay. And she said, you know, here's how it needs to look. You need to have lightning bolts coming out of your fingers. Well, okay, that says it all.
Right.
What a genius way to say. So you're not going like, yay. You're like, it's like full on. And she said, if I don't see your hand shaking, then you're not doing it. I want to see it. Because we had to match her energy. And trust me, by the end of the night, we were exhausted, and we'd only done that 1 act. She had done 2 acts, and we were in a coma. Crazy. Crazy. She is one of a kind, and the best. Is
she still performing? I mean, COVID excluding?
COVID excluding, she's kind of retired for the moment. I don't know. I talked to her a couple of weeks ago, and she's really bored. She's watching Turner Classics, you know. I don't know. I think she's never count her out. Never count her out. There will be another Liza's back. I'm sure. If she decides, the audience will always be there, which is an amazing gift.
Absolutely. So I want to make sure to be respectful of your time too. Time flies by talking to my guests, and we've just hit an hour, but I do have a couple more questions if that's
okay.
Okay, fantastic. So obviously everything that you do, so much energy. What do you do to relax? What do you do to unwind?
Relax.
I know, a foreign concept, but
now what's this relax?
Right. It's a Frankie Goes to Hollywood song, and that's it. Right.
Exactly. Um, I, that's sad. I hang with friends.
Mm,
I walk New
mm,
York. I mean, that's really good. I put on headphones and walk New York. I work out. I I don't knit. I'm just trying to think of what's relaxing.
yeah.
I mean I watch Netflix along with everybody else. I love Schitt's Creek and I love
Yes.
um, what else do I love? Um, I'm not a big relaxer.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big vacationer, and that's something I really dislike about myself
Mm,
because when I have taken a vacation, I understand the importance of it and what it does for your
yeah.
soul and your energy and all of that stuff. I'm not good at it. I'm not good at setting aside time and paying to go do nothing.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not my thing, although I need to be better at it.
When a couple years ago, the December is usually a very, very busy time where like last year I did 34 in the month of December. So it was like
Yeah.
multiple a day, and God bless Lydia who puts up with my schedule and still chooses to be with me after all these years. But her family had booked a cruise where they were like, we're taking you away. They were like, it's a family cruise, but
Okay.
like we're literally removing you because you won't stop working. And they specifically didn't get like the internet package, not because they were frugal, but because they were like, we don't want him on his email. We don't want him booking.
Right.
We don't want all this stuff.
Right.
So
I
of course,
totally, that's a great gift.
yeah. But of course, as soon as I got into port, I was like, all right, now I gotta like
Oh,
check.
I know.
Da, 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 da. But I
I
took my
know.
real book with me and would like go in the room and I'd just be learning tunes. I didn't have anything to learn with it. I was just like, all right, here's the tune. Gotta learn it. So, but yes, I
Well,
totally.
that's the thing is you start to listen to music. I don't really listen to that much music around the apartment or during the day. But the second I get on an airplane, I put my headphones on and it's like, oh my God, why haven't I ever done that song? Who's that singer? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Or people I know, like you sound Jane Monheit, you've never sounded better. You
Yeah.
just your mind opens up the second you get out of your world of crazy business. And
Yeah.
it's very important. We
Yeah.
need to be better at it.
Of course. Well, that leads into the final two questions, which are: if you had one thing that everyone should go listen to right now, could be your favorite thing in the world, could be something you listened
Oh
to this
God.
week that you were like, dynamite, what's it going to be?
Oh God. A,
No pressure.
a thousand things are going through my head. What I would not say is to buy Christmas at Birdland, starring Billy Stritch, Clea Blackhurst, and me. I wouldn't do that because
No,
that seems cheap. It seems cheap somehow.
but definitely, if you are going to, make sure to only listen to it on Spotify because they really take care of the musicians
Yes, exactly.
while we're playing opposites.
Dozens of pennies come
Oh
our way.
gosh.
Um, I mean, there's so many different. Like, is it pop? Is it jazz? Is it? There's so many different things.
Whatever you want.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to say something that you're going to think, huh?
Okay.
But
I
I'm
love
going to
those.
say it anyway because it's what has popped into my head.
Good.
Now, hold on to your hair. Cher. Do you know the Cher song "The Way of Love"?
I do. Okay. Yeah.
It's not just that song, which is a very nice pop song, and I love her. I love her voice. I love her vibe.
Yeah.
She recorded "The Way of Love" she re-recorded it about 4 years ago.
Okay.
It's a live performance in Las Vegas. This performance will make you scream. It's so good. She sounds so great. I highly suggest listening to it.
Okay.
Even if you're not a fan, you're going to be like, that biatch can sing.
Well, per another recommendation, earlier I was listening to Everlasting Love, the Rufus and Shaka Khan thing. So it does not have to be just,
please.
you know.
Chaka Khan. And she can literally sing anything.
Yeah.
She does R&B and jazz and you know, obviously pop and the Great American Songbook. And oh my God, she's a genius. I should have said that. That sounds hipper. But I love Patty Austin, and I love Jane Monheit, and I love Kurt Elling, and John Pizzarelli, and Billy Stritch.
Yeah.
And I mean, so many of my friends are these geniuses. Liz Calloway has a gorgeous new Christmas album. It's just her acoustic with Peter Kalo on guitar. It's as beautiful. You could cry. It's so beautiful.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's why it's hard to know. And for anything Fred Astaire ever sang, please.
Of course.
Just the best. Mel Torme.
The King. The Velvet Fog.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to know what that means, Google it. You won't hear it here.
Read the book. Read the book.
Okay, so Jim, last question for you. Gig from hell, everything goes sideways, craziest moment, or just one of the crazy moments?
I mean, I've never had anything where, oh, yes, I have. Wow.
My favorite.
That just flew into my head. Yeah. Really dumpy club in Dallas. Sitting on a stool with my legs crossed, singing Coming from the Rain.
Okay.
A beautiful Melissa Manchester song. And a man threw up on my shoe.
Oh, no.
That's not good.
Like drunk threw up or like...
Like, who cares?
Oh.
Like, throw up. Like, didn't matter.
Sure. Well, there's a difference in demeanor of like, if you're a little sick.
No, of course he was a mess. He was a drunk mess. Yeah. So that's bad. More recently, Billy and I sing every Sunday at the Carlisle Hotel at Bemelman's Bar,
yeah,
which is a glorious gig. It's a beautiful hotel.
Lovely room.
It can be hard because, again, it's a bar.
Yeah.
So we're in there. Sometimes the audience is like, 100 people are just like this.
Yeah.
Other times it's like singing in a frat house. And a woman came up to me while I was singing, because we're on the floor, there's no stage. You're just right in the middle of the room on the floor. It's very glamorous.
Yeah.
I'm singing and she comes up and she reaches for me and she kind of misses and grabs my crotch and holds on while she falls over. So she's now me in full light holding on. Thank you. That was bad. But I mean, those are pretty few and far between.
Yeah, sure. Well,
happily or unhappily. Yeah, those were weird.
As much as you perform, I'm surprised it's limited to just a select few. But
I mean, there have been cast party moments that are like, whoa, the woman with 6 toes who wore sandals, she sang. That was good.
Okay.
Just, kind of weird, creepy things, but, nothing tragic that I remember.
Okay.
Just funny and gross.
Fantastic.
The Jim Caruso story. Funny and gross.
I will look forward to seeing that at Duane Reade next time I pop up there for a minute. Well, Jim, we want to make sure to plug, again, Christmas at Birdland. I'm sure people can go on the website, buy that. Yeah?
Yeah.
Of course. last minute little gift for you. And if it's already after Christmas, people can buy it. They can put it in their closet and get it ready for next year. Boom, Christmas gifts done 12 months in advance. And Pajama Cast Party on Mondays at 8 Eastern.
8 Eastern. Yeah. Okay. On the Cast Party Network on YouTube. You can always find it.
Fantastic. And then regular Cast Party once that comes back, hopefully sooner rather than later. And anything else that you want to plug? Website and Instagram?
Sure. At Jim Caruso 1 is Insta, and website is jim-caruso.com.
Okay. Fantastic. Jim, this has made my day so much better.
Christian, you're so nice. And you're so good at this. You're so good. Congratulations.
Well, doing my best to just keeping it real, keeping it relaxed. So, Jim,
keep moving. That's my advice to everybody during the global pandemic is keep moving.
It's fantastic. Well, I can't wait to buy you a drink at the next Cast Party in person. Hopefully I'll see you sooner rather
Can't wait. Thanks, Christian.
Awesome. Thank you, Jim. Bye-bye.
We're going shopping today to the Marshalls, and then we'll hit the Target and to the Kmart. We love the music they play at those discount houses. We love to hear it. We love that hit melody back from the 60s when kids were on LSD and that recounting. He sure can swing it for me in those discount houses.
And you pick your way through cheap polyester print blouses because you're in those discount houses.
And you never have to guess which men go with which spouses because you're in those discount houses.
Attention Kmart shoppers, for the next 15 minutes we will be conducting a Blue Lax special in the stereo department. Ray Conniff presents your favorite hits by the famed group Led Zeppelin. That's right, Kmart shoppers, you're buying the Stairway to Heaven right under the flashing blue light.
Shibbity-wah, shibbity-wah, aisle 6. Shibbity-wah, shibbity-wah,
Aisle 7.
shibbity-wah, shibbity-wah, aisle 8. Shibbity-dibbity-dibbity-woo. We're gonna shop it, we're gonna bob it for you. Suppose we charge it until our visa turns blue. And all those people, it might as well be the zoo of those discount houses.
Some stay at home and shop with the click of their mouses.
But we go to the discount houses. Some watch their stocks, won't shop till they know just what Dow says. But we go to the discount houses. One more time, we're going shopping. We're going shopping today to the Marshalls, and then we'll hit the Target and to the Kmart. We love the music they play at those discount houses. And we'll pick our way through cheap polyester prints, even though the world's filled with pestilence. What do we care?